Back on Dev's channel. So this time, this is a Neo Nectar deck profile requested by Cliff's Blank. And his friend wanted to know about Neo Nectar, so he wanted to build a deck with Ahsha trial deck version involved and what was it called? Maryuka involved, I think it's called. So pretty much, we're just gonna go through this deck profile. The price range of some of these cards are unknown because some of them have not come out yet, and I cannot find the market price for them. So I am sorry for that. So hopefully these cards are cheap enough. But for the ones I do know, they're at least they're at least at the very most $1. So first up, the starting Vanguard is Spring Heralding Maiden Ozu. So 6k base, 10k shield. Oh, I just realized that's 1k high. Oh no, it's not. Wait, is it? Oh, who knows? So anyways, auto when wrote upon, draw a card. Then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 1 or greater, you get a quick shield ticket into your hand. This is the first card, one of the first 3 cards that has the quick shield part printed on them before the errata for all the cards. So that means, well, 1, when it's wrote upon, you get to draw 1. Then 2, if you're going second, your opponent's at grade 1, you can get a quick shield ticket, which is basically an order where it's like a 5k shield to an extent, which is helpful because that's an extra guard and it just acts as resources. It's kind of like a protected gift where it cannot go in a circle because otherwise it's going to disappear, but it is still remotely useful. Sorry about the Japanese image, I could not find an English image. Now on to triggers. First off, we got 4 copies of Dancing Sunflower, the only draw trigger, and this is here because like the deck has somewhat of a hand problem. Having that extra hand card is every now and then is going to really be helpful, so I got to get 4 draws. Plus, you don't need crits in this deck, but I'm running them anyways because Intensely Spicy Battler Cap C Sai. So we're running 8 crits in total because with Chestnut Bullet, we're running 8 crits in total because this deck actually needs crits, but it doesn't need them too badly to where the draw is actually helpful, and then the crit helps with very certain pressure, and we'll get into that reason why later. And then finally the 4 heals. I would have made this into a Fairy Light Dragon, but I couldn't find the English image of it, so you can make this a Fairy Light Dragon if you want. I prefer Fairy Light Dragon, but I just picked this one because there's an English image. So now on to grade 1. 3 copies of Maiden of Blue Lace. So act rearguard circle once per turn. Call up to 1. Oh, Soul Blast 1. I forgot to put that. Soul Blast 1. Call up to 1 plant token to rearguard circle, and this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. Plant tokens are grade 0, have 5k power and 1 critical, and have boost. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. If you want to play this deck, I suggest like bringing dice with you or like counters, like numbers and criticals, because this deck is huge on math. So if you can't keep track of everything at once, I would suggest bring like dice or counters or something. Next up is 3 copies of Nidus Prosperity, Craig. So, continuous, Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. All of your plant tokens in the same row as this unit gets plus 5k power. So pretty much, if it's in the back row, all of your plant tokens in the back row get plus 5. If it's in the front row, all your plant tokens in the front row get plus 5. More likely than not, they're going to be in the back row. So, yeah, pretty much that. Next up, 4 copies of Grain Sprout Maiden in Inifa. So, continuous rearguard or guardian circle. Your plant tokens in the same column as this unit or on the guardian circle cannot be chosen by your opponent's effects and get plus 5,000 power and plus 5,000 shield. So that's useful because your plant tokens are going to be hitting for numbers, but this deck hits for numbers in a very different way that don't involve plant tokens. So when you can't get those numbers, you can benefit off the plant tokens since you can spawn them out like crazy. Just benefit off the plant tokens by having this thing. And then if you need them for defense, you'll be able to put them in the guard circle. Like, I would suggest having Grain of Sprout Maiden Inifa in the front circle, and then having a Craig in the back rearguard circle in a different column. So then it call 2 plant tokens to the back row, and at least have one of them with an Inifa. So the one with the Inifa gets plus 10, and then they also get more power, because it's just more useful, more boosting, more energy, more aggressiveness, just all around good card. 4 copies. Also, this deck is made of a collaboration between me and Dev. And then finally, 4 copies of the card that Cliff's Blank friend wanted, Dandelion Musketeer America. So, or America if you want to be that person. America! So anyways, auto Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, 1 placed, Soul Blast 1, and call a plant token to Rearguard Circle in the same column as this unit. So pretty much directly behind it or in front of it. And plant tokens are grade 0, 5k power, 1 critical, and have boost. So if I forgot to mention this before, plant tokens have like different variants. So if it specifies something like this, that means go by that number. Don't go by other numbers. So then it's other skill. Auto rearguard circle. When your other rearguard is placed in the same column as this unit gets plus 3k power till end of turn. This deck can pop out rearguards like it's going out of style. Literally, call this thing first. I can guarantee you this thing's going to be at 20k before the turn's over with. Without triggers. So, all around, good card. 4 copies. Just run it. Next up, grade 2s. 4 copies of Frontline Valkyrie, Laurel. So continuous rearguard circle, this unit gets plus 2k power for each of your other rearguards. So pretty much a 19k base at all times, which is useful. That means your opponent has to swing into it multiple times just to get rid of it. Well, they have to waste a whole boost attack on it more likely than not, which is useful because making them waste a whole column is perfect was a perfect situation. Because then they lose a booster, so even if the other unit restands or is retired, they've lost access to a booster, which is really great. And the 19k base is just really good for swinging and attacking. If you don't have plant tokens, you can just build it up with that. So this deck has an alternative to power hitting with size plant tokens, if not them. Next up is my favorite grade 2, well, my second favorite grade 2 in this deck, Blossoming Maiden Kella, I think her name is. Continuous rearguard circle. If you have a unit with the same card name as your vanguard or rearguard, if you have a unit with the same card name as your vanguard on your rearguard circle, this unit cannot be retired by card effects and gets plus 5,000 power. Kagero? Nope. Narukami? Yes, but still, can't be retired, gets plus 5 at all times, which means a permanent 15k base, which this deck can do easily. And then act Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, counterblast 1 and call up to 2 plant tokens to Rearguard Circle. Plant tokens are the grade 0, 5k power, 1 critical, and have boost. But that's useful because that means you can just pop out plant tokens like before. Literally, you could just go into Murica, right? Go Murica first, skill, Soul Blast 1, get a plant token in the same column. Then call Celia, skill of Celia, counterblast, get 2 more plant tokens. Just by placing 2 rearguards from your hand, you filled up your whole entire board. And then Murica gets plus 12k power, which means her power goes to 20, which is really easy to do in this deck. So 4 copies. And then finally, our last grade 2, 4 copies of Omniscious Maiden Anelma, my favorite card in this, well, my favorite grade 2 card in this deck. Auto Vanguard or Rearguard, when placed, Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1, draw a card and call up to 1 plant token to Rearguard Circle. Plants are grade 0, 5k power, 1 crit, and then have boost still. And then continuous rearguard circle. If you have a rearguard on your rearguard circle with the same card name as your grade 3 or greater vanguard, all of your units get boost. That's useful because in some cases, like say you have multiple different units on your field and you only have grade 2s left, that and like a unit with the same card name as your vanguard, what you could do is call Anelma and then skill. All of your things get boost, which means all your grade 2s, yeah, some of them may not be able to intercept, but now they can all boost, and you can swing for big numbers to hit your opponent. Like, this thing gets boost, this thing gets boost, this thing gets boost. You can just swing for big numbers as long as you have a unit with the same name as your vanguard, if your vanguards are grade 3 or greater. Speaking of which, now let's get on to the grade 3s. 4 copies of Maiden of Trailing Rose. Auto Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, also 4 skipped and 30k base. Auto Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, when placed, call up to 1 plant token to Rearguard Circle. If this unit is on the Vanguard Circle, you can call up to 2 plant tokens instead of 1 and then the standard 5k, 0, 1 crit, and have boost. That's useful because that means on place, immediately get a Force Gift, and then you get 2 more plant tokens. I would suggest, if you could, always call Murica, that grade 1 I keep talking about every now and then. Here, I'll even go back to it. Murica, always call this thing. Like, try to set it up. Like, have Murica always be on the field at all times because she can benefit from this deck's constant spamming of field. And because it can clear out the field and then re-put it back, Murica's just going to get power stacked. Like, it's effectively Murica is on steroids because that thing's going to beat the shit. Talk about flower power, am I right? And then the next skill, Act Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, Soul Blast 1 and 3 of your plant tokens get plus 5k power till end of turn. So pretty much, your whole back row could just get plus 5 if you're keeping them all in the back. 1 column could just get plus 10. Who knows where you put your plant tokens at? But they all get, well, 3 of them get plus 5. And then they can just help swing for bigger numbers because that's an extra 5k shield that they have to waste, which is really good. And now into our main grade 3. And our last card. Ranunculus Flower Maiden, Ahsha. Auto, 4 skipped and 13k base. Auto Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. When placed, Counterblast 1 and call up to 2 plant tokens to rearguard circle, and this unit gets plus 10k power till end of turn. Planets are grade 0, 5k power, 1 crit, and then have boost still. And then act Vanguard Circle once per turn, retire 3 rearguards, so this is where I was talking about with the getting rid of your field. Call an Ahsha Flower token to your rearguard circle. Ahsha Flowers fairies are grade 0 and have an ability to become Ahsha, which is where Anelma comes in and where Celia comes in, because that means their abilities go up because your Vanguard now has the same name as a rearguard, and that just means a lot of abilities procced up. That means everything gets boost, and that's really useful with Ahsha Flower Fairies. And even if you don't do that, it's still a good unit on place because you get plus 10k power, and then you get 2 more plant tokens. Like I said, always try to have Murica on the field. And it just sacks the field, which means if you still have Murica, that means you can just call more units from your hand, which gives it more power. Because, screw logic and just have a grade 1 with the power of 40k base. Why not? Who cares? And now onto other units. Speaking of the Ahsha Flower Fairy, let's get on to her. So, 2 copies, you only need 2 copies. This card represents a Ahsha Flower Fairy token and cannot be put into the deck. Continuous rearguard circle. This unit has the same card name as your Vanguard with Ahsha in its card name, which means Anelma go off, Kala, whatever the fuck it's called, goes off, and it just abilities activate. And then second skill, the more important one, auto rearguard circle. When it attacks, choose one of your Vanguards with Ahsha in its card name and increase or decrease this unit's power and critical to match that unit's until the end of the battle. So here's what you do basically. You attack with Ahsha. You attack with your Vanguard Ahsha after you have like 2 Ahsha Flower tokens. You get 2, they PG it. You get 2 triggers. Always put the triggers in this scenario on the Vanguard. The flower tokens attack. Skill, their power becomes the same as the Vanguard plus the boost. So that means all those extra triggers that you just put on the Vanguard basically goes to the front row. It's like having your whole deck basically being front triggers, where it's awesome, broken, and your opponent's bound to die from it, which is amazing. And it also gets the critical if I wasn't clear about that. So 1 crit just brings it up to 2 immediately. And then finally, the standard plant token 5. There are versions where they have the shield. I mean, no, they don't have shields in that. Oh, actually, never mind. Yeah, just keep this way. 5 plant tokens. This is here. It's at 5 in particular because just in case you cannot get the Ahsha Flower tokens off, maybe because you couldn't see Ahsha, or maybe you don't have the resources to sack 3 rear guards, you can just build off the plant tokens because your card effects still activate anyways. Yeah, you lose access to half of Anelma's ability and half of Celia's ability, but you still have access to their second effects and everyone else's second effects, which means even if you cannot use the Ahsha Flower tokens, the deck can still push, which is really useful. And now on to the Quick Shield, which I've been talking about for a long time on this channel. So Quick Shield, order. So one of your attacked units gets plus 5k power to end of the battle. That's pretty much all it does. And then card type, Blitz Order can be used during guard step. This card is regarded as being from all clans. This card is a ticket card and cannot be put into the deck. So you only get this when you activate the effect of Ozu or any other grade 0 Vanguard. And then finally we got the gifts. Imaginary Gift Force 1. In this deck in particular, I'm not going to say which one you should use, because normally I have a clear definition of which one you should use between Force 1 and Force 2. This deck in particular, you can do whatever one you want, because this deck is going to screw your opponent over anyways. So it's up to you, just based on the situation. I honestly don't know which one you would use more. It just really depends on the situation. But either way, it's probably going to be the same outcome where you can beat the shit out of your opponent with it. But anyways, on to the skill. When acquired, put this marker on your Vanguard or Rearguard circle, and the unit on this circle gets plus 10k power during your turn. This can be put on the same circle multiple times in the power stacks. So pretty much, you're not going to do that though. Actually, yeah, you will do that. If you have 2 Ahsha Flower tokens, just keep stacking it on the Vanguard so that each of them just get the plus 10 and then everyone starts feeling Hellfire. I mean, you're only going to ride 3 times, so it doesn't really matter. And then Force 2, the one I could see you using more if you just want to push for game, because this deck can already stack power like there's no tomorrow. When acquired, put this marker on a Vanguard or Rearguard circle, and the original critical of the unit becomes 2. The effect does not stack at 3 copies, because you only need 3 copies because you cannot stack it. But that's useful though, because even though the Ahsha Flower tokens criticals become the same as the Vanguard, if you put the Force 2s on them, you can at least, or like other rearguard circles, you can at least rush them until you can get out the Ahsha flower tokens, which is useful. So I can see both sides, where if you want force 2 just to rush them, or if you want force 1 to make them waste their hands, so that when you do bring out the Ahsha flower tokens, they can't really stop you. I can see both sides. So that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment about any other decks that you want to see Dev use or build, and don't forget to subscribe. If you want to go find my channel, go look up Vanity Ezel on YouTube. I do Vanguard, Buddy Fight, and yeah. So see ya.